You're wearing my brand colors.
Is
The
it
char
yellow?
it's well, one of them's chartreuse, so it's green, pink, and chartreuse.
Oh, I knew
Yeah.
that it was green and pink just from like the outfits on
Yeah,
your Instagram.
I
But
tried to
yeah,
do one
this
fun
is
color.
this is like a construction yellow, if you will.
That's
Um,
not what I was going for in my brand.
no, dude, I wore this hoodie. So this is a construction hoodie from one of my dad's. I don't know if he's a friend or what he is in relationship to my dad. But anyways, this is a double XL hoodie, like has been worn and stretched out. And I wore it to Stop and Shop, which is our grocery store here the other day.
Mhm.
And I had like a trucker hat on. I look homely. Like I looked
That's
disgusting.
hilarious.
And this woman's up to me and she goes, I don't know if that's your sweatshirt or your boyfriend's sweatshirt, but you look so good in that. You look so sexy. I love when girls wear boys' clothes. And I was like, picking up my bell pepper, like turning around, like,
What? I thought that was
me?
gonna go the other way. I thought she was gonna be like, "You look ratty. Like, don't wear that."
No, literally the opposite. I was like, what is happening in
Oh
this
my
Stop and Shop
gosh.
right now? Yeah,
Well,
must
she
be a
sounds like
full
she was
moon.
flirting with you. Yeah, it
Dude.
must be a full moon. She was trying to
Oh,
pick you up, Sarah.
dude, she really was. It was kind of horrifying. I'm not gonna lie. And I was like shaken up the whole rest of the time, the Stop and Shop. Like, I'm already anxious enough as it is walking into a grocery store, like trying to get my list in order, trying to like get my music to play through my AirPods, have my like recycled bags with me, and make sure that I'm like going to the correct aisles. And then that happens, and then I'm just in a tizzy the whole rest of the time.
Last thing you want when you're out in public is for anyone to talk to you. At least for me.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Like,
I'm like,
stay away from me. Don't start a conversation. Don't pat me on the shoulder. I don't want to talk. I just want to do what I got to do and get the F out of there.
literally same. Like, I could not be in more agreement with that because it just throws off the rest of the day. Like,
It
um,
really does.
unless you're my true love coming to reach out to me and let me know that I'm the most beautiful girl on the street. Although that woman was, maybe she thought that's what that was. Maybe that's what that woman thought that was.
I
So,
think so.
but anyways, how have you been, dude? Like, it's literally been years since I've seen you.
That breaks my heart. That has
Isn't
been
that kind of
years.
nutty?
It is really nutty. Honestly, it hasn't felt like that long though. I feel like we're still kids, if I'm being honest. I don't feel like we're full grown adults yet.
I know. It is really weird. And like trying to think back when I was writing all these questions and trying to draft what was going to be asked and talked about in the show, I was just like thinking about how we were little kids so recently. And then I was like, wait, when was the first time I actually met Aaron? And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my God, I remember exactly when I met Aaron.
Really?
So yeah, it's not exactly when we met, but like the first memory that I have of you is back in first grade. We were not in the same first grade class. I was in Mrs. Lane's class. I don't know whose class you were in, but you were having a birthday party and it was a really cool Western themed birthday party.
That's very Sarah. That's very young horse girl Sarah.
Very young horse girl Sarah, so obviously got my attention. And you come to the classroom with like your teabag stained wanted letter that was your invitation. And remember feeling so cool because you just showed up to the room and like we probably met like at recess or something, I don't know. And you come to my classroom, which was like so cool because like we weren't in the same class. I was like, oh my God, I'm just so popular.
Oh
Um,
my
and you
God.
come and you're like, this is for Sarah. And I was like, oh my God. That's
Oh
the
my
first memory
gosh.
I have.
I don't remember that at all. I feel like my brain has been erased from like my childhood from like eighth grade down. I don't remember anything. I blacked out the whole time.
No, honestly,
Anyways,
same.
like my mom, she's so insane. She always threw the biggest parties for us. Like no matter what the occasion, the party was going to be freaking insane.
Yeah. And
She
that's what
went
I
above and
I
beyond.
appreciated that. And to Molly's credit, I really vividly remember the birthday party. I remember we all got cowboy hats, we got bandanas, and we made our own little picture frames and we got pictures of us printed of us riding the horses. And I had mine for far too long. I think I got rid of it when I graduated high school and went to college and my dad was moving. But that was a long time to have that piece of that relic.
Yeah, that's insane. That makes me realize just how like spoiled of a little kid I was. Like that is pretty privileged to like have horses at your what 11th birthday party. Like that's
No,
insane.
dude, this was first grade. Like you were
First
like
grade birthday
6.
party, I had horses and I think one of them had a unicorn horn if I'm being real. I think one of them might.
Probably. I believe that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, that's insane. I should go back through all those photos and really give my mom a hug and thank her for doing all of that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I give her a hug on social media every time I see her post. I'm like, yes, Slay Queen, you're doing
She
great.
loves you. She brings you up all the time. She adores you. She
Ugh,
really does.
I would come back to Ohio just to hang out with the Haymakers, honestly. Like,
Please come back to Ohio. You have not been here in so long.
dude, I know. I know. I'll be back soon. I think I might come back in the summer, actually.
That's how I've been keeping up with you. Like we haven't been like talking or texting really, but like I know everything about your life because I follow your podcast. I'm like a fan.
I love that. I appreciate that. Oh, real recognizes real. That's all I've got to say. That's my intro of you. Like, Erin, the most extravagant. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Like, I remember, like, you were always just the cool girl in my mind. And
That's insane to me.
no, it's so true because I was like, Erin really does not give a shit what other people think. And to me, I was like, that is so cool. And so then when we became friends, I was like, hell yeah, like we just don't care. And
That's
I remember when
insane.
we were like in elementary school, you had is either elementary school or middle school, you were like designing your own skirts and whatnot. So it like literally doesn't surprise me that you've like started your own business, but like you were designing all these skirts, making these drawings, like you would wear these skirts to school. And then in college, you came up with this idea for Uber, but for sororities and fraternities, like always super entrepreneurial. And so,
Very.
again, just not shocking at all to see that you are now the CEO and founder of a business. Like, not shocking to me at all.
Oh
But
my gosh, that's crazy because it is shocking to me, honestly. Like
really,
I'm shocked. Well, first off, I'm shocked that you thought I was a cool kid because I was the dorkiest, freaking quirkiest girl in middle school, and elementary school ever. So I'm really glad and flattered that you think I was cool at
no,
all.
but that's part of like the cool appeal. Like, you were dorky and weird and quirky, and that was what was like luring about you because
And I did
just
not care.
you didn't care.
I
And
did
you're like
not.
authentically yourself, which in Canton, Ohio was like a hard thing to come by.
It definitely was. And I feel like it's kind of sad to me sometimes because I feel like as I got older, I kind of lost some of that. And
Mhm.
I'm really working now to bring some of that like authenticity and not giving an F or like being really quirky again. Because going through high school, I feel like that's when I started to really care about what people thought about me. I
Mhm.
started getting into things that I shouldn't have gotten into. Like, I just I definitely lost myself for a while, I'd say, throughout like high school and college. Uh,
Mhm.
but now I'm definitely working on bringing that like authenticity back and like being that dorky, quirky, kind of like fun girl again because I miss her.
Yeah, she is awesome. And I would say that even in college, you were like getting yourself back. I always respected the hell out of you because you didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
And I remember freshman year being like, why is Erin not wanting to go out? Like, but it was like you didn't want to drink and no one could change your mind on it. Like, if
Yeah.
Erin is set in her ways, you're not changing it.
It's
Like,
so true. I never want to do anything that I am told to do or like
yeah,
that is forced upon me. I want to run away and do the opposite. That's for sure.
exactly. And so, again, that's back to that cool girl mentality. Like, you really just do things that are most self-serving to you. And it's pretty baller, I must admit, especially like with social media and like all these influencing, which is funny because like that's what you do is influencing. I get in a way, is it influencing or is it just like marketing?
It's marketing. So what we do is we manage small business their Instagram and Facebook and social media accounts for them. So
Hmm.
in this day and age, obviously social media is just huge. Like a business cannot be a business without having social media anymore.
Hmm.
You get your sales, you have your networking, everything or most things are from social media. So what most big companies do is they hire someone full time to manage their social media. But a lot of smaller businesses, they can't afford to do that. So they bring on contractors like us, through agencies like mine to do it for a lot cheaper. But we still do full management, just not full time.
Gotcha. And so the company that you worked at right outside or right fresh out of college, how is that different? Is that the difference between an agency versus what a consultant would be?
Right. So
Okay.
right out of college, I started working for a media agency or a
Okay.
media marketing agency. So they did everything. They did website design, logo design, branding, and then they wanted to do social media because they started getting inquiries about social media management.
Mm.
The problem is they had no one to fulfill it. So through like this crazy mutual connection, like seriously, I think the universe just the stars aligned for me. And I got the call from the owner of the agency, and she
Mhm.
asked if I wanted to. She knew I was looking for a job, and she asked if I wanted to build that social media program. So I did. And technically, as a contractor, the business, that part of the business was all of mine.
Wow.
So I was running my own business, but under someone else's branding. And what
Hmm.
the company was doing for me was they were doing all of the sales. So
Mm.
they were getting me all of my clients, and I was doing everything under their brand. I didn't have my own platform or my own branding. So then when it came time to switch over and do everything by myself, all I had to do was switch all of the contracts into my own contract
Hmm.
customer service system, build my own platform and build my own brand, which I had actually been putting off for so long because for whatever reason, that was the scariest part to me. Like I was fine running a business, building my team, building my clientele, and building all the systems in my business under the guise of someone else's brand. Like
Yeah.
that was really comfortable to me because I wasn't in the spotlight, and
Hmm.
I again, like I still think I'm having some like high school trauma of like being not wanting to be in the spotlight, like kind of hiding myself a little bit. Um, but no, I had to build those platforms and stuff, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I just had to take the leap and go with it, and it's worked out really well the past couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's like a crazy feeling to want to
Yeah,
not be in the spotlight, being it's your first job out of college and
definitely.
not wanting to take like ownership and responsibility because that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of work. And I think that you're kind of undervaluing that kind of aspect of it because to be the CEO of a company and to have that much ownership just with the title alone is a huge amount of accountability that you're now being attributed
Definitely.
with. And
Yeah.
so, with that, I think that that's completely normal to feel. And I don't think that anybody else would have felt any differently. If anything, they probably would have shied away
Yeah.
if an offer came in like the one you got. So, it's extremely impressive that you were able to jump at the opportunity as opposed to back away and be like, I'm not qualified for this.
Yeah, that's one thing I always try to work on. And I think I've been doing this for so long is I'm so afraid of change, but like the call of like something scary always is so alluring to me. And I end up just like really gravitating towards that and end up doing the scary thing anyways.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
it serves me.
I think I'm the same way. I always put myself in situations where I end up finding really unique opportunities. And I think you and I actually have that in common a lot, which is probably
Definitely.
why we're such good friends.
I think so
But
too.
we always find ourselves in these situations where it's not like it is luck that we find ourselves in these situations, but it's also us being prepared and ready to jump at this new opportunity. It's not just, oh, I'm going to give it a try. No, we're ready. We're fully prepared. We just happen to be in the right spot at the right time, which is a matter
Definitely.
of like right time and luck, but also preparedness.
Right. I was thinking of this earlier too. I was like, what percentage of success is luck and what percentage is actual skill? But I feel like it really is a little bit of both. And if you have the skill and I guess the tenacity to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, then you're more likely to be lucky.
Yeah, and that's that old adage, fortune favors the bold. It's
Definitely.
seriously true. I think being over communicative, which both of us I think are very good at, And you normally find out like a lot of things just from being over communicative.
That's true.
Like
Very true.
a lot of the opportunities that I've gotten have resulted from me oversharing something.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Like putting myself out there, making the phone call, doing the meeting, even though I'm like, is this meeting necessary? I'm like, take
Yep.
the meeting,
Hmm.
always have the conversation. I think that it's not something that I want to do. It's not comfortable. And I don't think anyone is comfortable in those situations. But if you just make yourself do it, you'll never regret it.
I completely agree. And is there ever like, I know that in high school and a little bit in college, you felt like you were losing like a sense of identity. During that time, do you think that your sense of like taking these risky paths in life became sort of something that you strayed away from? And that's kind of how you lost a portion of your identity because you weren't doing things that were more serving towards you in satisfying in that capacity?
I think it's more so that my goals and my aspirations were not in line with the universes or like my actual real passion. You know, like so in high school, I
Hmm.
think this is for everyone though. I think everyone loses themselves in high school and they have to refine themselves. But my aspirations were finding the cutest boy to date and like, you know, they just weren't real good aspirations. They were like, be the coolest girl, hang out with the coolest people. Like
Hmm.
they were just bad aspirations, but I worked really hard at them. You know, they were like at that time, they were my passions. But then when you start moving on in life and you get into college and you're like, oh shit, I actually have to like find other passions and other things that I want to do besides these very trivial things that I care about in high school. So no, I don't think anything I went through is like super crazy or abnormal. I think it's something that everyone goes through.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that I was along that same aspiration path in high school and even a large portion into college in my adult life. Like, shoot,
Agreed.
Sarah was long gone. Sarah was lost for a
No, college
while.
was rough. I think college was a little bit rough for both of us at times. I mean, there's obviously highlights and some really fun things that I don't regret, but yeah, I mean college was college is like having no parents and just letting a bunch of kids run around and like drink and do drugs and be insane. So I
Yeah.
was not in the best position for some of college.
Yeah. And I would also say then once you came to the realization that college wasn't really like what you were picturing, and then when you got back into grips of your aspirations, it was like a complete 180. Because I remember freshman year, we would mess around, be in the dorm, like just having a good time. Sophomore year, you became an RA. And then I would come over and we would chat for a bit, and you're like, yeah, I just like this isn't for me anymore. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm still on the same aspirations I was in high school, and you were already light years ahead of me. You're like, I'm kind of done with this. Like, I'm just career oriented at this point, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Which is like crazy because so that was me for a portion of college. So that was probably sophomore year. And
mm-hmm,
then I went through that breakup and I was like, oh shit, like I need to grab on to like people and like a support system, grabbed onto the wrong support system and the wrong people and the wrong things. So I
mm-hmm,
completely fell off, you know, my junior year. And then
mm-hmm,
I came back to my senior year, kind of thank God to COVID because I got sent back home and I couldn't be around the craziness and all of the drinking and the partying and all of the distractions. So that's when during COVID time when I was back home, I was like, okay, I need to get my shit together. All these other people in my grade have jobs lined up and I haven't even had a thought about a job, you know, and I'm
yeah.
coming on my senior year. Like I have not even thought about my aspirations. So I should probably get myself together because I'm an embarrassment right now.
No, but I completely agree. I loved I'm not going to say that I loved COVID, but being home during quarantine really allowed for you to dissociate with the norms of whatever environment that you were in. Us was college. And so leaving college and leaving that drinking culture, that's when I decided that I didn't really want to drink anymore, although I kept drinking for another 2 years after that. But
Mhm.
in addition to that, like figured out that I really enjoy learning and that I really enjoy running and that VC and startups are where I want to spend a good portion of my time and making those kind of aspirations come to fruition during that COVID period because we had nothing better to do. So it was a really good time to focus
Definitely.
on yourself.
To reflect for sure.
Being a CEO and founder, what does that entail for you? Like, what does a day to day, or what does day to day look like?
Right. So I think the whole reason I wanted to start a business and be a founder CEO of a business in the first place is because I like my day to day to be different every day. I don't want to do the same things. I get bored so easily. Like I want to be learning something new, get bored of that, delegate that to someone else, build a system around that, and then move on to the next thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. So my girls that work for me, I have three social media managers and one head of social media. So
Wow.
the social media managers, they all work with the clients one on one. And then the head of social media, she does all the quality control, manages the girls make sure that the day to day everything is all working, clients are all happy and stuff. And then I'm kind of working on like what are next steps for us? What are the systems we need? Where are the roadblocks? Yeah, just kind of like envisioning what the next steps are and what we need to do, as well as like sales and finance and just all the other like kind of day-to-day hats that I have to wear and
Mm-hmm.
things that I have to keep under control, like payroll and things like that.
With social media, there's not much tangible assets that you have aside for potentially subscriptions to services like Canva or I don't that's the only marketing tool I know of. Um like subscriptions like that. There's not too many expenses with social media, am I wrong?
Yeah, not a ton. So yeah, just the things that we use day to day. So like
Mm-hmm.
Hubstaff, I track one of my girls' hours on
Mm-hmm.
Hubstaff. I actually have a list I could probably pull up, but I won't do that. Asana, Canva, Mailchimp, just like kind of the basic like resources and things that my girls need to operate day to day. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, not really a ton of expenses. All my girls work remotely. I don't have a ton of office expenses. I get to write off anything that I buy for the office, which is awesome. I love that perk. But yeah, it's a really good gig. Like being in the service industry is a really good gig because you're
Mm-hmm.
not having to buy a bunch of product and then sell it and have that sitting in your warehouse. Like I don't have the anxiety of that.
Yeah.
So it's fulfilling our clients every month and it is on a subscription basis. So our clients are just working with us every single month until they decide to stop.
That's honestly awesome and a really also easy way to self promote because with social media marketing, you're also marketing your own content
Right.
just by doing other people's work. So it's kind of a win win if you think about it. The more customer work you do, the more like customer testimonies you have, basically.
Absolutely. And a lot of our clients that new clients that we get are from word of mouth. You know, it's from other people talking about our business and saying, oh, we work with this company. And a lot of business owners have other business owner friends. So yeah, I mean, that's really how we've been able to grow our business and our clientele.
And I imagine that a majority of the people are coming in through referrals, coming in through DMs. How do you really filter those down between like bots and actual people?
I mean, we haven't had a problem of bots. I can tell a bot, you know, from a real person. It's just, I mean, as of right now, it's pretty easy. AI
Mhm.
is getting insane. So
Yeah.
like the day that I get tricked, I'll text you and I'll let you know. But I've not gotten tricked yet, but it will happen. I'm sure it will. It is weird, but it's also been kind of amazing, like as a tool for us. Since
Hmm.
I started this business, so this was about 2 years ago. I so that's one of the subscriptions we can add to the list is Jarvis AI. I've been using that for a while. That's how we come up with a lot of our captions and a lot of our like LinkedIn posts and stuff like that. And we've been using that for a long time. So we have quite a bit of experience using AI stuff, even before GTP has come out.
Wait, that's so cool. So instead of a technical writer, you have what is it called? Jarvis AI?
Jarvis AI, yeah.
Wow. That's actually
Yeah.
really cool.
It is really awesome. I freaking love it. I wish that we could go back to high school days and like just write our 6-page papers with AI because
Oh,
it is
yeah.
so easy now.
It
Yeah.
works. It's so efficient.
It is. I'm wondering like what are the next steps for AI? Because with AI and all these like different things being able to be written so quickly, it's like you said, there's going to be so much fluff just out in the world. Are people
Mhm.
going to read things anymore? Are they entertaining enough? Like, are there going to be way too many options with like articles and different things to read? Is this AI going to learn our brains and like see exactly what we want to click on and exactly what we want to read and just take up all of our attention, make us make sales and purchases that we don't want to make? So it's like the marketer's brain has been very valuable up until this point where we
Mhm.
might get replaced by AI because the AI brain is way more valuable and it can learn way faster and way more.
Right. But I think that there's also that human element that can never really be replaced. Like soft skills will never be replaced. And this is something that I've been like trying to convince myself of ever since I decided to become an engineer was engineers' jobs are basically to engineer themselves out of jobs. Like we're
Mhm.
trying to make products that are so useful and so efficient. And then should we actually use those efficient tools that we make, we're no longer doing the things that we were initially doing. So, in my eyes, it ends up just being that although a certain aspect of the job is being taken away, there's a new aspect that we're looking to get into. And I think you have the right mindset of being like, okay, this is what marketing is currently like. If we use AI with that, what are the impacts of it? What are the unintended consequences? And additionally, not trying to run from it, but how do we utilize it as a tool? Because I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do is pretend it doesn't exist. If this is disruptive technology, you can't pretend it doesn't exist. It exists.
Absolutely. It's so
So
disruptive, and I can't even imagine what like marketing and kind of just the world is going to be like in the next 10 years. You know, like 10 years ago, like if you think about what the technology was like 10 years ago, how far we've advanced, like I can't even imagine what it's going to be like now that it's advancing faster than ever because of AI.
exactly. And I mean, there's a lot of shifts with technical technology booms, like the www.com boom or the .com era, whatever. And there's been other instances of these technological booms where people are so appalled by it and they refuse to get on board with it. And then all those people get left behind.
Hmm.
And so what are you to do? And so I think really again, you're on the right page of trying to figure out how do we integrate this? How is this a reliable solution? Once you move to those new technological items, figuring out, okay, we're going to make sure that this is an integral part of our system so that way we're not among the group that's left behind and we are the people that are advancing with technology because the people that are wanting social media marketing I'm imagining are a pretty young group of people like
Hmm.
they have new businesses that are promote that they want to promote on social media as opposed to trying to do either newspaper ads or other ads that I don't even know where people do ads anymore besides for social media, to be completely honest. Like the
Yeah.
last time I saw a TV ad and was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. Never. I can't tell you the last time because
Right.
I don't think it's
Well,
ever
because we have like
happened.
Netflix now and all the streaming services. I mean, there's not as many ads. And if you do get an ad, it's always the medical field. It's so annoying.
It's that or Subway, to be
That or
honest.
Subway
Like
or
I
Verizon or just the big top companies. I mean, you're not getting like your local news station anymore or your local businesses. It's just not happening.
like AI and kind of figuring out the future of your company, obviously being the CEO and founder, like constant goal setting, I would imagine.
Mhm.
So, what are things that you have to consider that you didn't really have to consider while you were an employee under somebody else's umbrella?
I feel like I've always been pretty like independent since the agency I was working for. I was still running my own business technically, but I definitely have to think more about the future and keeping up with all of these new technologies. Like if there's a new trend, I have to jump on it, or I
Mm-hmm.
have to have my team jump on it in 0.2 seconds because things are changing so quickly and so constantly. I mean, when we first started posting for Instagram, there were no reels. And
Wow.
now that's like all we do, you
Yeah.
know? It's insane. I mean, that's only in the past 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
when we started this, we were doing square Instagram posts, Now we're doing portrait size, so they're a little bit taller because that's what people look at longer. It's so
Mm-hmm.
funny how a marketing brain works. It's literally trying to grab your attention for the longest amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're doing videos for the same reason.
Mm-hmm. So how often are you looking at that data? Like, is that something that is put in a metric on Instagram that you can see how long someone's been engaged with one of your posts, or is that separate data that you have fielded elsewhere?
So it's more so like I read a lot of newsletters, listen to a lot of podcasts, so I try to learn from the experts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as analytics go and what works and what doesn't, yeah, we have all of those analytics through Instagram and Meta and Facebook shown to us, but it's not like how long are people on our post? It's, oh, our post didn't get shown to people or it didn't get enough reach, which is your post showing up on people's pages or their feed.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that something was wrong with this post. And then it's more of like, okay, well, this post did really well, so let's do more like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how like influencers are getting so big now. It's like an influencer on TikTok will post one thing that blows up and they keep doing that same exact thing until it's exhausted because none of their other stuff works. It's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing for us.
And with marketing and trends that happen on TikTok and trends that happen on Instagram, obviously there's a running joke that Instagram Reels is like 2 weeks behind TikTok.
Yeah.
And so are you like constantly scrolling through TikTok? How are you keeping up with trends? How is that manageable?
If I'm being honest, I have a team that is way more Gen Z and way more TikTok loving than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I I have not had TikTok for a long time on my phone.
Yep.
Uh, I think personally, to my personal health and my addictive personality, it is not healthy for me to have. Like truthfully, I don't think it's good for me to have. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to stick to Instagram. One of the other platforms that I really like that has good short form video is YouTube Shorts because you can thumbs up or thumbs down things and that affects your algorithm. I think things like that where you can have full control over what's
Mm-hmm.
shown to you from your algorithm. I think those are the platforms that people should be on. I mean, if they're trying to change their, mental health or change what they're viewing, because a lot of what you're looking at is just pure garbage and it's not good for you.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, my dad is a huge proponent of YouTube Shorts. This man does not have social media,
Really?
but is a huge fan of YouTube Shorts. He loves YouTube in general.
Yeah.
And he recently stumbled onto YouTube Shorts because YouTube's one of the few apps that he has on his phone. And I remember I was laying on the couch one day and he comes into my room and I'm listening to this one girl's TikTok or Instagram reel or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I think I follow her." And I was like, "You follow her where?" And he's like, "She makes YouTube videos." I was like, "No, she
Oh
doesn't. No, she doesn't."
no.
And he's like, "Yeah, I've seen her on YouTube." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, that's dangerous stuff. You can just spend so much time scrolling through those." Yeah, that's
And you
basically
can.
TikTok.
I feel like though, like it's kind of funny seeing our parents get on these social media platforms, whereas before they're like, oh, that TikTok's stupid. Now they're on it and they are more susceptible than us to these like marketing schemes and staying on TikTok and scrolling longer. I think us, like Gen Zers or younger millennials who've grown up with this sort of technology, I think we're a lot better at controlling ourselves than some of these older people like our parents who are, they're just way more susceptible. And it's kind of like, you said you were learning about like scammers and stuff. Like older people are more susceptible to scamming because they didn't grow up with it.
Exactly. Like I remember when I was in high school and I wanted a pair of Ray-Bans so bad, and my Instagram algorithm put this fake pair of Ray-Bans on my Instagram to buy. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get these." And they were like, Ray-Bans are normally like $200, okay, first of all.
Yeah.
And the ad on my phone was like, "They're $30." And that should have been a red flag to me. And I clicked
Yeah.
on the link, like followed the link. Got these sunglasses. I ended up wearing them a lot still, but they were Roy Bonds, not
Oh
Ray Bans.
no.
ROYBON.
That's kind of like how my mom for Christmas, I really wanted Uggs one year and she got me the fake Uggs. And I mean, I feel bad. I was like, "Oh, I love them, mommy. Like I'll still wear them." And I did. I did, but I was kind of like, "Mom, these are not Uggs."
The thing is, like, she probably embarrassingly didn't get scammed like I did. Like
No,
that,
no, I
like after that experience happened, I was like, I'm never buying anything that doesn't have reviews ever again, which I think is also like a huge marketing thing to like have that leverage and pull of being like, hey, we have reviews. Like I never rent from Rent the Runway without a review.
Yeah.
That was my learning experience. And I don't think, to your point, adults have that. They're like, oh, I have that and I have the money. I'm just going to buy that.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, even like last year, I think she bought some like and maybe it wasn't last year, maybe it was a couple years ago, like Kylie Jenner, the fake palettes were huge. She's one of those websites that scam you. And she was like, "Oh shit, I put my credit card in that."
Oh my God.
Yeah. I know. It's gotta stop.
Yeah. You would think that they would just,
I
you
know.
know,
I
no.
know, but it's just such a, yeah, they just didn't grow up with that. I mean, my mom had to type on a typewriter,
Yeah.
at school. They didn't even have computers.
Yeah. No,
It's
I completely
insane.
agree. And with that kind of disparity between our generation and like older generations, are you seeing a lot of your client base being more younger people or older people that don't really know how to use social media, but know social media is impactful in order to get work done?
Yeah, you just described my clientele perfectly. Like it's these like business owners, like they're super good at what they do. They're super good at sales and they're like, "Oh shit, I need to learn how to do this. I know it's important. Let me
Mhm.
hire a Gen Zer to do it for me."
Honestly, that's a genius business plan because there's a huge market for that.
Yeah, and I mean, like social media is just one of them. I mean, there's so many other things that people our age can do in order to start a business, that these people with money like need.
Yeah. And exactly, like I remember there was a TikTok or maybe it was like a LinkedIn post. I don't know, something that you made. Maybe it was Jarvis AI, but it was basically a post, maybe something you even reposted, that you can start up a business for virtually $0. Like Canva, you don't need to pay for a membership. Again, that's the only fucking marketing subscription that I know of. And like you can create all of these different things, like TikTok's free. You can make Insta or you can make TikTok videos for free. And there's so many platforms that are for free now that allow you to start these businesses. You just need to have the guts to do it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just so all that you need to do to start a business is build a skill that people who have money need,
Mm-hmm.
find those people who have money and exchange that service for them. It can be one time, it can be a subscription, and that's that. You have a business,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's even easier nowadays, like we said, like we as Gen Zers we automatically have a skill set, and that skill set is internet skills.
Yep.
And we can provide that without even building that. We already have that. So you can go on Upwork or Fiverr and find someone who needs you to set up their Facebook profile. There's people who need like help with just basic things that to you seem really easy, but to other people they have no idea how to do it. And you can make great money doing things like that.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And kind of like to go back on what you were saying, being resourceful and trying to utilize your own knowledge that you've learned, not necessarily any sort of steadfast education. Like, how much of your actual education from your collegiate experience, your high school experience, do you use in your business? And how much do you think that it's just learned from being a social media user?
Right. So I graduated from Farmer School of Business at Miami University, so it's a very competitive business school. And I'm going to say that I learned very basic skills, and that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much all I carry with me as far as my business education. I don't think that with the way that things are moving so quickly, like schools and colleges just can't keep up with their education. Like I know the very basic things of like And I'm very thankful to the university for teaching me things like analytics and things that like basic math skills and basic finance skills. But
Mhm.
you can also learn those things from any other college or any other course or YouTube videos. You
Mhm.
know, it's just something that you have to write down and in a list and be like, okay, I don't know these basic skills. You can find a YouTube video and basically sum up my entire college experience in the whatever 20 something thousand dollars a semester that I paid.
Yeah.
You these days you do not have to go to college, and you especially don't have to go to a fancy business school in order to start a business. One of the things that I did in college that really helped me was I minored in interactive media studies. And I'd say that was the most impactful. Those classes were the most impactful classes that I took at Miami because
Mhm.
they taught me Adobe skills, Adobe languages, coding, things that I would then use to build my business using Canva, basic design formatting. Those were all like super important when I was starting out. How to build an Instagram post, like you have to know some basic design skills and you have to have a basic eye for design. And I think that really helped me with like kickstart my career that way.
Yeah, definitely. And when you were getting your degrees and declaring your majors and minors, did you kind of come to that realization that you were probably going to do more with your minor than with your major when you were graduating or even going through any of your coursework? Or did you kind of think, because remind me again what your major was? Was it marketing as a whole or was it more niche than that?
Yeah, so you're asking me if I would use my business skills and my business education. There was nothing going on up there in that brain of mine at all. I was an idiot. I was not thinking about anything. I wasn't thinking about my future. I walked into the Farmer School of Business and I was like, that's a pretty school. Let me go there. I had nothing going on in my brain. And I think you might remember this, but I was a nutrition major at first, just because I had a general interest in like in nutrition and cooking and stuff from high school. But we were walking with my family, we were touring the school or they were visiting or something, and my dad said something. He said, "You should do marketing." And I said, "What's marketing?" And you were like,
I
"Erin, what the hell? You're an idiot."
I do remember that
I was like, "What's
conversation.
marketing?" Crazy. Fast forward to now, like how ironic.
Now running a marketing agency.
Yeah, literally.
That's full circle for you.
That
That's
is.
manifestation. Bill manifested that for you.
I think he did. I think he takes pride in manifesting for me, that's for sure. He definitely was super proud that I took his advice and went into marketing just because he said so.
Honestly, it's all just about us pleasing our dads. My dad asked me to major in engineering and I did it. Am I an engineer any longer? Absolutely not.
No, no.
But I did it. I did the 4 years and then I did it 1 year after. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm done with that.
It's the daddy issues.
More like it's the daddy pleasing
Daddy
issues.
pleasing issues. I think that's a thing with all girls. I don't know. It might just be me, but even my boyfriend Nick, he'll realize, he'll be like, "You really do live to please your dad. It's so ridiculous." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I do. I like baby him. Like I just adore him for whatever reason." And like it's just really funny how us girls, we really do. We're just like daddy pleasing.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's an issue or not, but
Maybe it's just how we're wired, I think.
yeah, I think so too. Because they just have our best interests at heart,
It's true.
just daddy's girls through and through. But with having a business and managing other people, obviously, us being young individuals, we've never managed people before. You were on
Mhm.
the cheer team the majority of our school experience, and I know you were a captain at one point, but how did that kind of leadership, has that translated into any like leadership with your CEO position and how you manage people today?
Yeah, I think it was pretty natural for me. I mean, it was a natural progression from being the oldest sister,
Mm-hmm.
being captain. Most of the time I was a cheerleader. I tried to be captain. I mean, I wasn't the best cheerleader, but like I wanted to become captain and I usually made that happen for myself. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a leader for whatever reason. And then I became an RA and I was in charge of, 30 something girls at a time for years.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just something alluring to me about being a leader. And I think that kind of drove me to want to start my own business in the first place. I wanted to be a leader, I wanted to be a boss. I think it comes naturally to me, but there's still things that I've learned and
Mhm.
there's things that I need to improve on. And it's always a work in progress, you know, leading people because people are fragile, people are complex, and you're not going to lead people perfectly the first time.
Right. Exactly. And with a lot of that leadership, because I know for me, like I also am very drawn to being a leader. I like organizing, being a communicator, being a leader as well as a follower. And I was recently asked to speak on a panel about leadership, and I was like, leadership, like I am like bottom of the totem pole here, people. Like
No, that's
we're
awesome.
we're asking me. Um, and so just trying to like think about that experience and like why we're asked to lead, because I think kind of to your point, you kind of just are a natural born leader. And that's something that isn't really like a learned thing. It can be learned, but I think for you and for me, it's very instinctive. And just
Yeah.
trying to accommodate towards people while also moving towards a goal. I think that that's something you've
Yeah.
always been really good at. And managing that, but also managing people is a really difficult dichotomy of trying to do what's best for the business while also simultaneously doing what's best for your people. And have you found any difficulties in like decisions that you've had to make, anything along those lines, in trying to advance the business while making difficult decisions within your team or even just individually?
Yeah, it is such a hard balance to have. As a CEO and as a leader, like I always have to keep in mind the business's goals. And sometimes that means that not everyone's happy in certain decisions, or like I just need to keep my North Star in check at all times because I do tend to want to people please. I want everyone on my team to be happy. Like I will, no matter what, always pay my girls first. I'll always keep their best interest first. And I mean, that's natural for me, but there is, you know, a natural inclination to want to give even more and want to please them even more. But I have to be that stern figure as well that has a goal in mind. And at the end of the day, it's to keep the business afloat and to keep everyone's jobs and to, I mean, like it's a big responsibility to have.
Is there a certain mentor that you look to in your personal life? I know you said you listen to podcasts and read a lot on articles and LinkedIn and things like that, but is there a specific individual that you kind of go to for any professional advice?
So absolutely my mentor is the girl who ran the first agency that I worked for. I mean, now, so at first she was my mentor for like a year, and I really, really looked up to her and I learned so, so much from her. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think we got to the point where we were more equals. And now I'm kind of on the search for like another mentor, but really it is just I listen to podcasts all the time. Like Diary of the CEO with Stephen Bartlett. He's really great to listen to. It's kind of goofy. I feel like really bro-y to say this, but I like listening to Joe Rogan, even though he can be a douchebag sometimes. I like listening to his podcast because he has a lot of great guests on who are very successful. And he is very like even keeled and logical. So I like listening to his stuff more on like kind of the right wing. And I'm not like political at all, and I don't lean one way more really, but Jordan Peterson is really great to listen to. He is more far right, so some of his stuff can be a little bit too much, but he has some great books that I've read. But yeah, like just I mean, there's so many places you can find mentors nowadays because they're broadcasted everywhere, all over YouTube, all over podcasts, so and books as well. I mean, do people read anymore?
My goal for this month was to read 4 books. I'm 2.5 books in. So I want to say yes, but I
Yeah.
will admit that 2 of those books were audiobooks. But I
Yeah.
Googled it, and audiobooks are retained in a different portion of the brain, but activates just as much of the brain as you do when you're visually reading. So to me, I'm like, all right, it's not technically a podcast, like it is still a book.
Oh
And I
yeah.
give myself that. But no, I completely agree. I wouldn't attribute myself as being a right wing Republican or a left leaning liberal, but someone that kind of falls in the middle, but I find myself listening to like a lot of right-wing podcasts too. And
Yeah.
then additionally some left-leaning, but I think it's also really good to center yourself when you can acknowledge that someone's opinion is different than yours and use that to kind of either counter what your initial thoughts were about something or reinstill and kind of create a deeper argument for something. And having someone that's so like exactly where they stand allows you to kind of figure out exactly where you stand because you're like, okay, I'm not exactly that, but also at the same time I'm not exactly that.
Yeah.
So finding the balance in each of those items and each of those feelings and sentiments creates a lot
Yeah.
of thinking
Yeah.
internally, which I don't think a lot of people do,
Oh my
honestly.
gosh, I totally agree. And I've thought about this a lot. Like I listen to people on both sides of the political spectrum. And like you just have to kind of know yourself and figure out what are your own views? What do you think about this? I think it's good to have conversations and it's good to listen to people who you don't necessarily agree with. And there are some takeaways that I get, and there's a lot of things I learn from people I don't entirely agree with. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to only listen to people you entirely agree with. There's some learning to be had from listening to people of all views, in all backgrounds.
Yeah, I completely agree because again, that it's just if you learn something about the other side, it's either going to firm up your argument for why you think something or cause you to look at it in a different light and maybe accept a different idea. But again, I really just don't think people like thinking anymore. And so if you tell them like, oh, I listened to like the Ben Shapiro podcast, they're like, oh my God, you're a right-wing Republican. Ah, like,
Yeah.
no, that's
Which
not necessarily
which
the
Ben
case.
Shapiro cracks me up. He's so nerdy. It's so funny to listen to him sometimes. But no, I don't agree with everything Ben Shapiro says, but his YouTube shorts are effing hilarious sometimes, and I do enjoy them.
I know it makes news interesting, to be
It
honest,
does.
because
He's
it's
so
like,
funny.
again, you know exactly where he stands,
Oh yeah.
and you know that that's not like what he's saying, although it sounds like fact a lot of the time, is a lot of just his own opinion. And you're getting a lot of the story, but with some sort of bias that's coming with that. And if you're able to
Totally.
understand that, then it's great. But if you're not recognizing that there's bias in that, then that's probably where
Yeah.
there's a problem.
I think everyone is biased and let's cancel culture for sure.
Agreed. I actually heard this really great mentality about cancel culture, and it was, I think, this might be fake news and false information, but the Pope actually spoke on fake news. And this again could be wrong by source of information, but he said that people should only be judged on things for in which the time frame that they happened. So if someone did something in the 70s, like smoked weed or tripped acid, that was normal then. Like that's what people did then. You can't really
Yeah,
judge them for that now because that's times are way
totally.
different. Like times change and it's
Totally. I hope,
unfair.
yeah, I hope no one judges me for anything they saw me do in high school or college. I was an idiot. I was an absolute idiot. My frontal lobe was not fully developed yet. I was I was a different person then. I mean, like, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, yeah, we should totally cancel culture and judge people on who they are now and don't you don't have to scroll through someone's Twitter to find what they said 5 years ago to prove a
Oh,
point. I think it's ridiculous.
agreed. And with marketing, is there any sort of like hinge of cancel culture that's like intimidating, like a campaign that might end up being like controversial or anything along those lines that you kind of see and you're like, I'm not interested in participating in that either trend or like campaign just because it doesn't align with what I think?
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't had anything like that yet. I know it's gonna come in the future. I mean, gosh, think of some of those huge campaigns that went through marketing teams and ended up getting canceled on a huge scale and ruining businesses. I mean, what was the one? Was it Balmain that had like they thought the bear with the chains bag was like sexual predator or whatever? That went through a whole marketing team, you know? That's
Mm-hmm.
terrifying. If I'm that marketing person and I let that go through, I mean, that's a huge weight to have. But yeah, I mean, I haven't had to deal with anything at that scale, obviously, yet,
Hmm.
but I'm sure it's going to happen. And it's something I have to think about. And I have to be prepared for things like that.
Yep, adding risk management to the hats worn
Yeah,
category.
totally.
It's honestly, yeah, being a CEO must be so scary in the sense that there are so many different items that you're taking care of, and there's so many different aspects of your role that you want to make sure that are covered. And other people are included under that umbrella, and other people being your clients, not necessarily even the people you're working with. So creating
Yeah.
an image for somebody else. What is kind of the hardest part about being a people pleaser while also working for clients, while also trying to maintain a brand identity?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with it's just a lot of responsibility and it is really scary. It is. I mean, I've had sleepless nights. I have like felt nauseous for days about something that's happened in the business. I have a lot of people that rely on this business for I mean for financial support, and they rely on it for their businesses. I mean, it is such a huge responsibility, and it can be really daunting at times. I think, I mean, I've only been doing this for 2 years. You get used to some things. I mean, you get used to the pressure and things. You have good days and you have bad days. But yeah, it's just all part of the journey, really.
Love it. And then I know I said that that was going to be my last question, but this is actually going to be my last question. Maybe it's a statement. No, it's a question. What advice do you have for people that are our age that want to either start a business or aren't sure whether or not they want to start a business, but have that entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, I think just start doing things. I mean, things, like we said, things lead to more things. If you start doing something, it may not be what you're going to do forever. You more than likely, based off the stats, are going to fail at it, but you're going to learn so much and you're going to be able to carry that on to the next thing. I have never started, I mean, I've started so many businesses. I've never started a business and not learned something super valuable and taken it to the next thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how you build your skill set, that's how you build your career, and that's how you differentiate yourself. Even if you don't want to start your own business, that's how you differentiate yourself in the market. If you want a career, I mean, I see people our age who graduated with their marketing degrees have dreams of being marketers and I'm not bashing this job, but they're recruiters. To me, that sounds like a waste of time. Why are you doing recruiting when you should be marketing? The reason being is that you're not building skills, or you should be building skills that are valuable to these companies that want to hire marketers. Like, so many people have their marketing degree, but what are
Mm-hmm.
you doing to be different and stand out amongst the masses? It needs to be hard skills. It's not going to be where you went to school. It's going to be the hard skills that you built, even just as hobbies, as for fun. The reason I got the job at the agency was because I marketed myself in my internship as a graphic designer, because I learned Adobe in my free time because it was just fun. I just
Mm-hmm.
made cool collages and weird art. Like, it was just fun and goofy. And I mean, like, yeah, hard skills. Just start doing stuff, even if it's just for fun, even if you're not putting it out there, start learning stuff.
I love that. And I think that that is a really good note to end on, is just do more. I say that all
Do
the time.
more.
No, it's so true. Like, my favorite video of all time is the Do More video by Casey Neistat. There's also another video called Make It Count. Both are really good. Highly recommend them. But they talk about like doing things that are fulfilling and satisfying to you and working towards goals and getting things done, not just because you want
Totally.
a paycheck, but because you want to do them and you want to learn. And life is more than just scrolling through Instagram or
Watching Netflix.
watching Netflix. It's about doing things that you have a passion for. And I agree. If you majored in marketing and decide your passion is in recruiting, have at it, go for it. Or if you just joined a job because you want to get your foot in the door at a company that you end up wanting to do marketing at, work towards that, do that. Like, do what you just
But
said.
on the
Have that,
side, yeah.
yeah, on the side. Like, do a little something. I completely agree. I'm all about a side hustle. You know me, have the podcast, work at a bar, have a full-time job. That's how she
Hell
goes.
yeah, girl.
And
I love
that's
it.
that's how you do more. People just do more, and that's Just remember that. If you take one thing away from this, do more.
Do more. Let's put it on a t-shirt.
Put it on a t-shirt. I'm done. I'm mic drop.
Mic drop, put it on a t-shirt. Let's go.
Erin, I will let you know when I'm in Ohio next, maybe June.
Please.
So mark your calendar for just the entire month, write it off.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad you were able to come on. I really miss talking to you. You're one of those people that I just haven't seen in a long time, and it feels like we can just pick up wherever we left off.
I
And
agree.
it's really hard to find that with people nowadays.
It
But
is.
thanks so much for coming on. Miss you bunches, and I'll see you soon, I guess.
Yeah, miss you. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you. Bye.